Hello out there in YouTube land. Fast Trap Crypto Reviews coming at you again with another video, a little crypto sauce. Now, my last video, I talked about Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple and the SEC. So that's the drama to the west. But now I want to take it over the water to the east. We talking Hong Kong crypto. I got a beautiful professional conversation about crypto licensees, which cryptos are approved, and it's going to give you like a little roadmap as to like where it's going. Now this here is going to be probably about a 3 to 5 part series because the details are so sweet. We got to really break them down and understand them, because as we all know, this technology isn't simple. It's a bit complex, and to understand what regulators are thinking and how the industry is going to evolve is quite a bit to take in. So without further ado, make sure you like and subscribe. Cryptos Reviews, Fast Track Cryptos and Reviews has a goal to get to 1,000 subscribers by Halloween. Matter of fact, take a second and like and subscribe right now. Let me give you a few seconds. All right. Hit that like button, y'all, when y'all see this. Now we're going to get into this. I got a great conversation, like I said before. And there's a little bit of an accent, but the English is pretty dang professional. All right. Let me cut the music. Now let's get into it.
With Adrian completely. I don't think there's going to be ever again another 180-degree turn, but there will be enforcement actions by the SFC if people break the rules once the licenses are in place. So,
okay, very interesting statement. Let me set you up. Now, this is Angelina Kwan, who's the CEO of Stratford Finance, and her base expertise, and she's well connected, is in the regulations in Hong Kong. She was instrumental, not herself, but she was instrumental in working on the regulations that went into the Hong Kong stock market, and how that transitioned to interact with Shenzhen and Shanghai. Also, there's this brother here, Adrian Lai. He's done a lot of work from the commercial side. He's worked with big names like BlackRock, and he's been trading, and he's got a venture started up called Newman Capital, and he's born and raised in Hong Kong, and he's worked in his finance technology industry for pretty much his whole career. So this is a very important conversation. The lady to the left is Laura Shen. She's a journalist. She claims to be a no coiner, so she's just here for the content and the information. She's not invested. Now, Angela Kwan, pay attention to her. She really has very good English, but she has a very keen knowledge. So let's listen to her. She is currently talking about how they don't think there's going to be a 180 turn, because before China had blocked crypto, and now they've opened it up. She says now it's going forward, and pretty much all of the weight and risk is on these licensees of crypto exchanges. Comes down to their private business, and China holds business owners accountable. You might go ahead and be the leader, you're the boss, you're the big shot, but if the company goes false or goes awry, the regulators, the government holds them accountable. There is no letting people off because of a class. There is no class of wealthy people who get away with things because they tied into the regulators, they tied into the politics, and they can pay people off. No, the Chinese government runs it. And two country, one system. Hong Kong is subject to mainland China, Beijing. So here we go. She's talking about the risk of a business owner if they're caught going astray from the actual rules of the regulators, and it ends up hurting the retail investor.
So we can expect that it's going to be a thriving industry, but one that takes care of its investors and grows to be a real asset class, which we've always known it's a real asset class, but now it's really going to be a developed asset class in Hong Kong, which is highly exciting.
Yeah, so let's dive now into these new rules. So on June 1st, the Hong Kong Securities and Futures Commission, as we've been discussing, began accepting applications for virtual.
Just real quick for maybe the Western audience don't understand, because we have the SEC, but in the East they have the Securities Futures Commission. It's the regulator of their securities. Very very similar, but they do have a different style. And like I said, it's top-down authority, so it's straight rule-based. And consequently, that causes them to be very clear about the rules, because that enforcement is going to be serious. Okay, so here we go. SCF.
Asset service providers to serve retail customers. What is it that these new rules say?
I jump in at any time, Adrian.
Right.
But in a nutshell, basically, if you wish to offer digital assets in Hong Kong, you must be licensed. The licensing regime is based on same product, same as what is being done with securities and futures. You will get a license, and you will have to comply with rules and regulations. You will need to put in internal controls that are documented, which to me are best practice in any ways that you would want to put in place. You will need to take care of your customers. They will need to be suitable to be able to understand digital assets. There will be segregated accounts. There's security over how the firms run. You will have a number of requirements to keep minimum capital, so the firm will not go bankrupt, and there will be requirements for responsible officers that will look after the firm and be responsible for the firm. So,
I like it. Hold on, let me put a little bit of music on for that. Hold on. Oh, I like it. Y'all heard what she said? The accounts need to be segregated. They've got an awful lot that are custodied in a cold storage wallet. They got capital requirements so that the company can't go bankrupt. Can anybody say FTX? They ain't gonna have that out there. They've got internal documented processes and methods that must be approved by the regulators to secure customers' funds or clients' investor funds. They've got oversight throughout their security process. And then the business owners or the executive in charge, without a doubt, is held responsible. It's documented that way. So at the end of the day, there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. There's no the DOJ dropping charges on SBF kind of thing. There's none of that. So it's a risk that the business owner or the founder or executive is taking. Everybody knows. You're gonna know exactly who it is. This is the man who is responsible to make sure this trading operation works the way it's supposed to work. And if it doesn't, you know who they coming after. So the risk is all on him. He's probably going to do really well and make a lot of money, but the pressure is on him. I really like the way the East works. I like the way China works in that way. It's very clear. You know who's on a chopping block. Okay, let's take a listen again.
Very much the same way that securities firms are run in Hong Kong. The SFC will require the same of digital asset firms that are getting licenses. And already it's proven the system works. We already have licensed companies in Hong Kong, both in the fund management space as well as OTC broking. Those that are brokers can uplift their licenses to be able to offer digital assets through a licensed digital asset provider like OSL, for example. And then the new trading firms that are coming in, the digital asset exchanges, people from Binance, from what we hear, all the way to new firms that are setting up in Hong Kong will be able to get licenses or already have put in licenses.
Yeah, and one other requirement that I just wanted to flag for those people who have been scarred by things like Mt. Gox and FTX is that there's a cold storage requirement of 98% of the coins need to be held in cold storage, which I think is a really great regulation.
What'd she say? 98% of the cryptos need to be held in a cold storage wallet? Oh, that's beautiful. So the cyber attacks are going to be neutralized. And she did drop that Binance. I know y'all heard it. SEC.US or SEC is suing Binance.US. You thought they was locked in the slammer? Nope. Popped up in Hong Kong. That's where Binance is getting their license. And other exchanges. So
Adrian, can you describe what it is that they can list in terms of the tokens, or like what requirements the tokens have to meet?
I believe the tokens need to have a 12 months track record. So listed probably elsewhere for 12 months, issue for 12 months. And but jumping back a bit, the regulations I think it's encouraging because they actually mimic quite exactly what the traditional security law in Hong Kong serves. So basically, if you are a traditional broker or traditional asset managers in Hong Kong, obviously you have a standard way to deal with SFC in terms of your activities. So when you look at the guideline issued by, not the guideline, but the new law issued by SFC in terms of license 7, which is the trading facilities in Hong Kong, I think it's pretty similar to traditional way of dealing with the SFC, but also in the same time it take care of specific things that you would think about in crypto, just same as the question that you asked in terms of the token, whether you have, I think it has to be a 12-month track record, including in certain 2 indexes, I think at least 2 indexes. When you look through that universe, and obviously with the quarterly requirement, but one thing pretty interesting is they all.
Okay, before he changes, let me get a little music popping. Before he changes his transition, he said there's a liquidity requirement, which is very important, right? The company has to have a minimum liquidity capital requirement so that they don't go bankrupt, like, FTX. but they also can only list coins that have been on multiple exchanges for at least a year. So any rug pulls, fly by nights, you guys seen that squid coin about a year ago that popped up and got rug pulled? There's been a few actually that have been nothing but rug pulls. People jump in trying to get in, and then the founders sell everything and it crashes and everybody loses a lot of money. Those won't be options. They're going to be listed on multiple exchanges for at least 12 months, right? That's a minimum requirement to even be on this platform. And there's only about 16 that are going to be viable to start. Now, he's going to allude to a few, but you can tell he doesn't strategically, he doesn't want to say something wrong or say too many of possible coins that might be up there, but he's going to allude to that right now. Let's take a listen. Oh, this is exciting. I love this Hong Kong information.
Always require the platform operator to do due diligence. So that is one key thing. So you never think about you as a company getting a license and you could do whatever, right? You basically have the fiduciary to do the due diligence. Same as any kind of broker. If you get a license as a broker, you need to do due diligence in terms of what you're selling to your clients. So I think that will impose certain requirement on exchanges, even licenses trying to list the token. So you heard some of the exchanges in the market already say they're going to list 16 tokens. Whether it is true they already get approval or they talk to a regulator, at the end, I think they have the discretion, but up to whether something happens, and if they haven't done the proper due diligence, they will be punished by the regulator. So I think
okay, so he said, like I said, 16 coins that have got approval. What 16 they use? Now, 16 are approved, but it doesn't mean the exchange is going to use all 16. Which ones they use is up to the responsible person, right? They've got to do their due diligence and not break their fiduciary agreement, their fiduciary duties, right? So it's incumbent upon them to be very diligent in their research to make sure the coins that they list are quote unquote the safest coins for investors, at least to stop all the scamming, fraud type activities. They're the more secure type coins. But if it turns out that it's not secure, well, the regulators are going to punish that individual who is responsible for deciding. So they just put it on the business owner. You want to open an exchange, you get a license, okay, we'll give you the license. But if you mess this up, you put a coin out there that gets rug pulled, even if it's, a coin that has nothing to do with the actual exchange, you still chose it. You picked that coin. You didn't do your due diligence to research that group and that project enough to make sure you kept investors safe. So you're going to be punished. Got to feel more secure about that. Makes you kind of feel like open up a Hong Kong company so I could get into that market. But even investors, retail investors have requirements that they have to adhere to for the exchange to even work with you. You have to have a real good knowledge of securities, have a really good knowledge of cryptos in particular, the risk involved. You have to really demonstrate a expertise in this field to even invest in it. But what I do like about it, it's not based upon the ultimate investor. I forget the term in the United States, but it's basically people who make over $1 million a year or have assets equaling up to $1 million. They have a certain net worth, and then they can get involved in those investments, but normal people can't. This is done based on expertise, not based on net worth, which is much more fair. If you study and if you are competent, then you can get involved. And in the U.S., you can be extremely competent and extremely intelligent, but if you're not of that economic standard, then they just won't let you be involved, and that's unfortunate.
The regulator has given a kind of a pull and push approach. So given a bit of flexibility out there with the guidance you need to follow, but at the end you have to bear your responsibility as the operator yourself.
And so, I mean, to me, that seems like a high bar to have. The coins need to be listed in two different independent indexes, and one needs to be a provider that has experience in the traditional financial sector. So how many like you mentioned 16, like, so which assets do you expect will be offered? Like, how limited do you think it will be compared to, what we currently see on like Binance?
Well, Angelina, obviously you have your own comments as well, but I have questions when I look at the 16 coins. I think it was announced by one exchange out there. Some tokens, I do have questions on why they could be listed.
Which tokens were those?
So sandbox tokens, I would do have questions on in terms of the volatility, liquidity, and whether it should be traded on platform day one. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not saying that it's not it shouldn't be traded for 5 months later. But from an investor perspective, I think it is for the first 5 tokens, Bitcoin, Ether, and probably some of the bigger ones, except stable coins, because stable coins are not allowed to trade now on the Hong Kong exchanges. But some of the tokens like Sand is probably a bit dangerous for day one. As I mentioned, it's a discretion for a platform operator to list them as long as you have the license approved finally.
So if you were an operator, which you were saying that you would be comfortable with 5, which 5? Bitcoin, Ether, and then which are the other 3?
Well, let me look up the top 10 now, actually. but Bitcoin, Ether is obviously the choice, but not if excluding the stable coins, probably not BNB for now. Solana, Polygon, not top 10, but could be safer choices than listing some of the application-based tokens. So I think foundation-based token probably is the easier ones to get listed initially, and is the less volatility compared to some of the application-based.
Okay, so he names off, she asked for 5, but he gave 4. He said, obviously, Bitcoin and Ether, no stable coins. And he says he thinks Solana and Polygon, even though they're outside of the top 10, he says those are probably going to be, safe listings, right? He didn't want to touch, any of the legal issues that are going on. It's kind of murky right now with the SEC and everything going on with Ripple, as I alluded to in the past video. Go ahead and check out my other video on Brad Garlinghouse on what he says about the case with SEC and Ripple. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel, support the channel so I can grow and keep bringing you this content. But his answers are very calculated, but very intelligent.
Tokens as well.
So, Laura and Adrian, one of the new areas, which is quite novel, that has been introduced as a part of the regulation, is the fact that the onus has been put on the firm to take responsibility. So
I think we can stop it right there. The onus has been put on the firms to take full responsibility. There's no letting guys off the hook. Like I said, the FTX debacle is clear evidence of how the West operates differently, right? His charges, SBF charges recently, not all of them, but a lot of them got removed. So his sentence or his punishment is going to be greatly reduced. But, in the East, in Hong Kong, in this market, no, that is not going to be the deal. There's a lot of language about the East, but that top-down authority works, and it works like a charm. You know who's in charge, you know who better not mess up, and if they do, there's going to be a very clear punishment. I'm going to leave it there because, like I said, this is going to be probably a 3 to 5 part video. Like and subscribe and check this out. This is Fast Track coming at you. Hold on, I got one comment real quick. Looking at us, I agree. Gamma effect, very interesting. Yeah, the global perspective is what I'm going to cover as much as possible. It's going to give us the full global perspective because crypto is global. The U.S. is fighting it right now, but I don't see why, because their jurisdiction is limited to, a certain population. But people are not trees. They can move, they can fly, they can go all sorts of places and get into a jurisdiction that works for them. But like I said, thanks everyone for joining. Shout outs to the chat. Shout out to the audience. I'll see you later on the next Fast Track Crypto Review. You guys have a nice day. Peace.